Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing, folks? Harley, not sure if you're still here, but welcome. How you doing, man? Or or woman, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, so today got a little live show going on. Figured I'd try something a little different. We're going to take a look at a few different, stories that have been kind of going on in the news as of lately. Talk about them a bit, and then I'm gonna go through and put each little bit out as videos later on. So, kind of excited to take a look at a bunch of different stuff. I got a whole list of tabs already pulled up, ready to go. Been doing my research, and and then we can do some chit chatting at the end, and talk a bit about some more stuff in depth, or some other topics, or whatever. So yeah, figure we get started in just like a few minutes. See if we can't get a few people in here. If not a big deal. But yeah, how we all doing today? Harley, how you doing? Vanessa, welcome back. Great to see you here on the YouTube live again. Awesome. It's like good old times. Got the crew back. You know what? I'll keep the music on for a little bit. Yeah, we're live again today. Today's a live streaming kind of day. Trying to get some more content out there. Yeah, so I don't know if you heard, but I'm gonna be doing I think some live streams, and then I'm gonna be taking segments from those live streams and putting them out as videos. See how that works out. Last live stream I had some issues with copyright stuff, but hopefully we don't have that again. All right. Harley, are you Australian as well? Are you from the land down under? Yeah, I don't think we will this time, or at least we shouldn't. Last time it was because of somebody was like, "Yeah, you can watch this. You won't get copyrighted. Trust me. You can do it. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me." And then like it got copyrighted, claimed or whatever. And I forget what the other one was. Oh, it was an interview, like a news interview. The weird thing is, it like shut down the live stream, and then it let it go back on again, and then like nothing happened. Like I disputed it, and it's fine. But it was kind of weird that it like shut the live stream down. So, not sure what was happening there. But yeah. Alrighty. So yeah, this is almost going to be like its own little podcast in a sense. I don't know if that's what a podcast is or what a podcast is, but we're just going to be talking about some stuff and going through some current events that I found interesting and some things I found hilarious. Yeah, you've seen that happen to others. Yeah. Got a star in copywriters. I don't even want to start getting back into the NRL again. Sounds crazy. I'm sure they've gotten worse. All right, well, what do you guys think? Should we get into things? Should we get into some of the topics as of late? I'm excited to do this kind of thing, and I'm a little nervous because I got a lot of stuff to talk about, and hopefully it all goes smoothly. Everything seems to be going well. No internet issues. So, all right, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it, guys. All right. So, yeah, we're gonna take a look at some stuff that's been going on. So let's jump right over and start with our very first thing of the day, which I kind of find funny, a little ironic in some senses, mostly just because of what's been going on. But let's switch over to our video view here and take a look at. Got to start here today. All right, so we all want, men, women to be equal, right? That's the big thing nowadays. Well, this is what happens when women are treated equally as men when they try to rush a UFC stage. Okay. Now, I'm joking here. I think it would have happened to anybody. But yeah, this lady decides she's going to take a run at a UFC event and try to jump in the cage. And she finds out really quick what's happening here. Let's just take a quick peek. It's a pretty interesting and crazy video. Let me get full screen for you guys. And let's get some of this music turned off. All right. Here we go.
Hey, yo, what's good? It's Mr. Menke. Hey, yo, what's good? It's Mr. Menke.
Hold on. How do I make this full screen? Can you make these full screen, these TikToks? Sorry, guys, real quick. I've never used TikTok before. Can you full screen a TikTok? Does that work? What happens if you try to...
Hey, yo, what's good? It's Mr. Menke.
It does a wide screen. Can we get a full screen? There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's start this over again, guys. All right. This is what happens when you try to rush a UFC stage, folks. Such a bad idea. As there's more bad ideas that are coming, but watch what happens here.
Go.
Like, and there's security guard right in front looking. Oh, that's a camera guy.
Oh, shit.
Boom!
Oh, shit.
Gets tossed. Gets absolutely tossed. All right. What's good? Okay. She's like, I'm out. All right. We got cameraman here. He's already eyeballing her. He knows something's up to no good, but he's in no place to stop this mess from happening. Okay. Absolutely no place. This guy's here. He's just chilling. He probably doesn't want nothing of it either because he doesn't go running after her. I really wish I could slow this down. Watch it again. There she goes. She takes off. She gets up on the stage. Security lady. And, I was looking into this, and a lot of people were saying, oh, this guy hit her or whatever on stage or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure that's a female. I'm like 90% sure that's a female up there. And basically just kind of pushed her off, right? And she just kind of took the full force of it and got absolutely launched. Okay, so this is a really good reason why you don't go up and try to, be that guy. Don't, the streaker or the person to jump in. One, why are you going to jump into a fighter's cage? Are you going to go jump into the lion's cage at the zoo too? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, what do you get out of it? You're in a cage at that point. Then you got to get out. Yeah, you're screwed either way. But nope, this lady did her job. I hope she gets a raise. Good on you. Good on you. All right. So that's our starter for the day. We have our UFC event here. Fun stuff that's happening. Now on to even crazier things. Now, if you didn't think this was crazy, you know what's crazy? Robbing a gun store or robbing a conceal and carry store at gunpoint. Or not at gunpoint. I'm sorry. He didn't even get that far. This guy goes to a conceal and carry class and tries to rob people, or steal their guns. Okay, and he ends up paying the ultimate price with his life. It's a pretty wicked and crazy story. Well, we got some video footage of what happened. This is just nuts. Like, I don't know what kind of stupid you have to be to think this is a good idea on how to steal a gun. Um, and maybe he was thinking like he was brilliant because like nobody would think you would do that, but he found out really quick. That's not a good idea, and he really only got shot because of what he ended up doing later on here. But let's watch this quick video and take a peek at what happened. This is absolutely insane. So take a look at this guy here in the middle in the yellow, right? In the yellow jacket with the black top or whatever. You see him kind of bending down and looking into a bag here. One, that's not his bag. All right? That's not his bag. And this classroom they're in right now is a conceal and carry class, or maybe even a permit to carry class. I don't actually remember what state this is in. I think it's Nevada. I think this might be the last. I don't know if they have permit to carry or just conceal can carry. You know, I don't know if they can open carry or not. Either way, every single one of these people in here is armed right now. They all have their firearms because they're taking a class and they're learning how to properly use a gun. All right, and they're training for this exact kind of situation, if you think about it, right? Okay, so every single person in here is pretty much like strapped and ready to go. Now let's just play this video and you can take a look at what the guy in the yellow here does.
The students were taking a break in the classroom when Mr. Payton entered the room and began rifling through a bag.
Okay, we'll pause it real quick. I'm just gonna be honest. At first, I thought it was this guy with the long ass like red bandana thing over his face. I thought that was the guy that was committing the crime because who in their right mind wears something like that? Like, what is wrong with you to wear something like that? I don't know what the heck. That looks like something like a Klan member would wear on their face. Not gonna lie. I don't know why. It's just a long pointy thing. It's kind of weirding me out, but I don't know. Maybe there's some special significant purpose to the long face mask bandana thing, but whatever. Either way, it's not him. It's this guy in the yellow, and the guy to his right that's actually his bag. Okay, so let's just keep going here.
Which contained a handgun that belonged to one of the students.
He's trying to get it back, and he's saying, hey, this guy's stealing my shit. Hey, he's in here stealing my gun.
Able to prevent the gun from being stolen, and Mr. Payton was escorted out of the classroom at that time. An employee spoke to Mr. Payton for several minutes trying to figure out what he was doing in the gun range.
Okay, so this guy is still okay at this point, right? Like, yes, he committed a crime. He's probably going to face some time for it, whatever. But he's getting away with his life. Nobody's threatening him with his life. You know, nobody's shooting at him at this point, right? He never got the gun, right? The guy prevented him from grabbing the gun. Everybody, got their stuff, was pretty on edge. The instructor started asking him questions like, hey, what are you doing here? Are you supposed to be in this class? Did you pay for this class? Why are you even here? Yada, yada. And this is when the sheriffs arrive, and this is when things really escalate. And it's absolutely crazy.
A short time later, another employee called police to report the attempted grand larceny. 3 employees escorted Mr. Payton outside of the business and waited for officers to arrive.
I'm going to slow it down here. Half speed.
Officer Wynn and his partner instructed Mr.
He has a screwdriver in his hand right now. And he's attacking these officers. And these are 2 officers, and now everybody else that follows, right? You have the 2 officers up top. Everybody else that comes behind them are people from the conceal and carry class. All right?
Mr. Payton to stand in front of their patrol vehicle. Mr. Payton ignored those instructions and started to walk away while hiding his right hand in his jacket pocket. Officers attempted to grab Mr. Payton, but he pulled away and still refused to leave.
Okay, you see how many people they all fired at that point, right there. They all fired.
Officers attempted to grab Mr. Payton.
Let's watch that again here.
Screwdriver from his pocket and violently attacked the officers.
Yeah, he pulled the screwdriver out.
Overhand strikes with the screwdriver towards one of the officers' head and neck area. Mr. Payton was able to stab one officer during his violent attack.
He stabbed that officer right there. Okay, here's the thing: the minute you do that, you forfeit your right to live. Not gonna sugarcoat it, people. The minute you do that, you forfeit your right to live. And every single person here. So the one officer is on the ground. You have one officer and you have 4 people from the conceal and carry class. Just basically give this guy a firestorm, and he doesn't get very far.
As
Right
the
here.
injured officer fell to the ground, Officer Wynn and 3 employees of the business discharged their firearms, striking Mr. Payton. Officers immediately summoned medical personnel, but Mr. Payton succumbed to his injuries at the scene.
Yeah, I think they fired 14 bullets into him total. 14. So let's hear what this copper has to say. He's from I believe it's the Las Vegas Sheriff's Office.
Our suspect is a Marvon Payton Jr. Spelling is up there.
This is
He's
the guy
a
who committed the
27-year-old
crime.
black male adult, 5 feet 11 tall, and weighs 170 pounds.
When they start talking about his criminal record, that's where I want you guys to pay close attention, because this isn't like this is a first-time offender or anything else like that. It's crazy how this guy is still walking around on the streets before this happened.
His criminal history. Mr. Payton does have a criminal history of being violent with police officers, which include the following charges: attempt murder in North Las Vegas PD, battery on a protected person, North Las Vegas PD, attempt robbery of a firearm, North Las Vegas PD, and assault on a protected person. And all of those incidents were violence against the police.
Yeah, all of those crimes he committed, all those like attempted murder, like he was assault, or all whatever he just read off. It was all against police officers. And then he goes out there. And so just imagine if he were to get that gun. He probably would have shot those cops.
Our suspect's weapon, he was armed with a screwdriver.
A
Mr.
screwdriver.
Payton's charges, had he survived the incident, was attempt murder on a protected person, attempt grand larceny of a firearm, and resisting a public officer with deadly weapon.
Crazy, huh? Crazy. But here's the thing: what kind of stupid are you to go to a concealed carry class and think that's where you're gonna get your gun, bro? That's where it's. I'm saying you gotta have some kind of balls, or lack of a brain, to walk into a place where you know everybody has a firearm, and they're all itching for okay, what they're all on edge, I should say, not itching for anything, but like they're not like on edge, but this is new to them, right? They're excited, they're learning and yada yada, and this is almost like the final test. Like imagine that. Imagine getting your concealed carry permit, and then that's your final test, right? Like, can you take down the guy that's trying to kill a police officer outside the building right now? Oh my gosh, to me that is just insane that happened. But honestly, good on those people for doing what they had to do, and the officer was able to walk away okay, so that's good. All right, and a little bit brighter news, outside of people getting stabbed and getting shot trying to rob people, what's going on with the crypto prices lately, people? Okay, I was just looking at this what was it, earlier today, and I didn't realize it, but Bitcoin has crashed. Bitcoin is gone down. Any of you out there, big Bitcoin people, you got a lot of crypto, let me know. But what do you think of this? Because I'm looking at the 5-year graph right now, and you can see it's plummeted. It's almost to where it was last year. God help us. No, but really, it got up to what? 64,000 at one point. Now it's down to 28, 29. Here's what I think. People. I think if you have crypto, and again, I want to preface this with, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot, okay? But if I had a bunch of crypto, which I don't, I would just hold on to it, okay? Because who cares what happens to the price right now? It all matters how much you have of it, and right now might be a good time to buy. You know what I mean? might be a great time to buy if prices are dropping and it's something that you actually believe in. You know, that's just what I would do. I don't think any of this up or down really matters, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency. Seeing how cryptocurrency is a very volatile thing, it's a very volatile asset. So yeah, I think these kind of things are going to happen, and I think this spike, from going from what 10,000 all the way up to 55,000 in a matter of months, I think that was a little unrealistic, and I think maybe now it's just going to start settling back into a normal upward trend, but it needed to kind of fall into place to get there. I don't know. It seemed a little inflated, if you ask me, but that's just asking me, and I'm an idiot, so don't listen to me on this. But yeah, I think it is kind of funny how Bitcoin just plummets and the world starts freaking out about it. And yeah, that's where we are today. You know, cryptocurrency. I'm also curious if there's anybody out there who has one of those cryptocurrency credit cards or crypto debit cards. Let me know. Let me know what you think of it, how it works. If you think it's a cool idea, obviously you're vested in it, so you must think it's a cool idea. But what do we think? Is this the future, or is this plummet and crash to be expected? I'm curious to see if it's going to keep falling. I think it will a little bit. I think it'll do a little bit of a bounce back up again, but I think it'll overall fall a little bit more. Um, I do think overall though, year after year, I think it's going to start going up. Uh, I do think that's a good point. I do think that the government is gonna it's gonna depend a lot on how government tries to regulate things around crypto. I think there's a lot more to it than you know than we all think. But at the end of the day, it's still a very new thing. It's still very volatile, and so I wouldn't let this bother you too much, unless you were like your life depended on you selling and your cryptocurrency in the next week. Then I could see how you might be a little stressed. But let's move on, shall we? This is something that I just wanted to do a little transition with. Apparently, the world hates Amber Heard. Okay, apparently the world does not like this woman. I guess 1% of people. I just found this little poll that was done. Who do you believe in the Depp Heard case? Johnny Depp got 60%. Heard got 1%. You can imagine. I wonder if those are just some misclicks, some fat fingers, some trolls, and then the Karens. But then both sound awful. We have a 39%. I don't know if anybody who's tuned into a couple of live streams I did of the trial. I think they both are just terrible for each other. But the more I look into it and the more I watch the trial, I think Amber Heard, something about her bothers me very deeply. And I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it. And I think this is going to overall be a good thing for Johnny Depp, regardless if he wins the trial or not. And I think the court of public opinion has already spoken and already, cast their verdict on Amber Heard. And I don't think she's going to come out of this um, in any sort of good thing. So it's a very interesting trial. It's a very funny kind of trial when you start to kind of listen to it, go through it. But yeah, this woman seems to be kind of batshit crazy, if you ask me. I don't know. She apparently shit in his bed to get back at him for some stuff, and ended up cutting the tip of his finger out from throwing bottles at him. Seems like she's doing a very poor job of acting on the stand, trying to make Johnny out to be this like crazy person, and when in reality, I think she's kind of an abusive person, both emotionally and physically, and mentally too. I guess all three of them. She just seems like a very manipulative, vindictive person. So I enjoy watching this case because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of Hollywood drama. And the whole world gets to spectate and watch it, and I think it is absolutely hilarious if you really think about it. We all just get to watch nowadays, like a civil court case between two actors on YouTube, and the whole world gets to see it. So that to me is pretty funny. All right, moving on. Why the NBA sucks, okay? I've always not liked the NBA. I've mostly not liking basketball. No particular reason. It's just never kind of really grown on me. But the NBA particularly does not sit well with me. Some of you may know this, but I think they're hypocritical in the sense in a lot of ways, and I think they cater to China in a lot of places that do very bad things. Meanwhile, they ostracize and are very woke, I guess you could say, in the United States. So I just kind of find this funny because I just found this out today that back in 2016, the United States NBA All-Star game was supposed to be played in Charlotte, North Carolina. And back in 2016, there was a bill that got passed apparently in North Carolina that said that if you have male parts, you got to go to a male bathroom. If you have female parts, you got to go to a female bathroom. Okay. And it was mostly passed that way because of like kids and stuff. You know what I mean? And parents and other people feeling uncomfortable. Whatever. It got passed in that state. Okay. And that's their right to pass that in that state, regardless of if you agree with that or not. You can go to other places where they agree with you and you can live with those laws and those rules, and that's fine. But the NBA pulled the All-Star game from Charlotte, North Carolina in protest of that bill. Because they thought it was discrimination towards the LGBTQ community. Meanwhile, fast forward 4 years later, the NBA is staged to set its All-Star game in the United Arab Emirates, where homosexuality is punishable by death. Does anybody else not see the hypocrisy in this? I mean, it seems a little crazy to me. I don't know. But yeah, we have an organization who, when it comes to doings and dealings inside of their own country and with their, arguably I should say their fans, as in the ones local to the country that the organization is operating in, they treat them a completely different way than. And here's the thing, I get it. They're trying to make money, right? They're trying to cater to wherever they can to save face, right? They don't want to look like the bad person in any sort of way. But what happens is stuff like this, right? So that's and if I had to guess, they're trying to tap into a new market in the United Arab Emirates, just like they did in China and all these other horrible places. And then when it comes to places in their own country, they say, no, we're not going to hold the All-Star game in Charlotte, North Carolina, because we don't agree with the political bill that, your government just signed, your local government or state government just signed. But we'll completely do a 180 and go over to the United Arab Emirates, where open homosexuality will be punishable by death. I mean, like if they find out that you can get killed for it, and we'll have no problem doing business there, because at the end of the day, it's all just about money. They don't actually care about protesting any bill in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was never about that. Just about catering to whoever the loudest activist is in the moment. And this is why I don't like the NBA. And a lot of big sports organizations are starting to act this way, and you see it a lot with the Black Lives Matter movement. A couple of years ago, you saw it a lot where every sports organization started adopting the rhetoric. Regardless of if they actually agreed with it or not, they just adopted the rhetoric. Why? Because they were catering to the loudest activists. That's just how it is nowadays, and I have a weird problem with that. I don't know what it is. It really bugs me. But the NBA is one of the worst offenders when it comes to that, especially with their dealings with the communist China, and I just don't like it. And LeBron James, yeah, he's not. I don't know, he annoys the shit out of me too. I got you, Duke. He annoys me too. But yeah, I just kind of thought that was funny. Yeah, so let's see right here. I have another article here, and all these articles are linked in the description. But it says the National Basketball Association on Thursday dealt a blow to the economy and prestige of North Carolina by pulling next February's All-Star game from Charlotte to protest a state law that eliminated anti-discrimination protections for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. It says prominent consequences since the law, which also bars transgender people from using bathrooms in public buildings that do not correspond with their birth gender, was passed in March. So basically, it was saying if you're in a public bathroom, you have to kind of go to the bathroom that your genitals match up to. Now, if you agree with that or not, that's a debate and an argument in itself, and fine. But for the NBA, and this article was written, back in 2016, but for the NBA to protest it, but they won't protest the Uyghurs being killed in China, or they won't protest how there's zero women's rights in the United Arab Emirates, or you can be killed for being a homosexual, right? And one hand, you're for the LGBTQ whatever community, and on the other hand, you don't care at all. It's just it bears question like your morality as an organization. And I'm not a big fan of the NBA for a big reason. For that big reason. All right, moving on. Let's get even deeper into the weeds, shall we? I need to take a sip for this one. Again, if you guys enjoy the live stream, leave a like. All right. So, I don't know how many of you guys are watching are from the United States, but either way, if you are not, I'm sure you have heard about the Roe vs. Wade being overturned and all the craziness that's involved around that nowadays. So, I just wanted to talk about that for a few minutes, and more so, not really about the Roe vs. Wade being overruled. I didn't really want to get into the weeds on that too much. I might do that on another stream. But because I think a lot of people have a weird idea as to what that being overturned actually means. It does not mean that abortion is all of a sudden illegal, and it does not mean that, women cannot get abortions anymore, all these things. All it means is that the federal government is no longer in charge of saying, like putting the line either way, like if it can be after the first trimester or the heartbeat or whatever, all these different lines that people draw in the sand as to when it's okay. Some people in some states are like you can get an abortion up to 9 months in birth, and some are like no, you can't even get it at all. And then there's all the lines in between. And basically overturning Roe v. Wade basically says that the federal government is not in charge of placing that line anymore and making those decisions. And it goes back to the states. So if like Portland, Oregon wants to have abortions up to 9 months, well, then they can do that. And if Texas wants to have no abortions or a heartbeat bill, which is I think what Texas wanted to do was once there's a heartbeat, you can't, then Texas can do that. Basically, that's all it's saying is the states get to decide. And that doesn't mean you can't drive to another state and do what you got to do there. Overturning Roe v. Wade just means the states get to decide it, not the federal government, which in general I'm a fan of. So what happened with all that is there was a leak to Politico, and this document right here is the leak. Now, this leak suggested that the decision was going to be that it was going to be overruled, which means it was going to get overturned essentially. Roe v. Wade has been around since for about 50 years now. Anyways, I'm not going to read this whole leaked document. It's in the description. But this is the document here that got leaked that was suggesting it was going to be overturned. Now, that upset a lot of people, right? Because, well, one, the media is hyping it up to be this thing that now if it gets overturned, that's 50 years of rights being taken away for women, and they'll no longer be able to get abortions, and it's going to create all these back alley, all these bad, crazy things that has nothing to do with this law. We're talking about law here, not anything else. Because really, reality says abortion is not a human right or a constitutional right, I should say. It's not. It's not a constitutional right granted by God, protected by our government. There's nowhere that says it in our Constitution. Now, whether or not you want to get one, that's fine. Go. There's plenty of places you'll still be able to. It's just, it's up to the states now. But regardless, that pissed a lot of people off. Now, what bothered me the most is we're starting to see protests take place at these judges' places of residence. And these judges are the ones deciding on this case and whether or not it's going to be overturned. And it really bothered me to find out that people are getting doxxed, their personal information is getting leaked, and they're being they're basically being protested at their private residence, which after looking into is extremely illegal to do. And so let me find the law here. So I just want to read this to you before I show you some of the other stuff as it relates to this. But it might be hard to see here. Whatever, I'll just read it. You might not be able to see the whole thing on the screen. All right. Basically, you have a right to peacefully protest, yada yada, but you cannot do it at like a judge's place or a juror's place in order to influence any sort of decision. That is illegal to do. And this is the actual law for it. So it says, whoever with the intent of interfering with, obstruction, or impeding the administration of justice, or with the intent of influencing any judge, juror, witness, or court officer in the discharge of his duty, pickets or parades in or near a building housing a court of the United States, or this is a long run-on sentence, or in or near a building or residence occupied or used by such a judge, juror, witness, or court officer, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it says you're not allowed to protest outside of a judge's personal residence to try and get him to decide a certain way on a court case, which is reasonable. Okay. However, this is exactly what is happening right now when it comes to this court case. And what bothers me the most is a couple of things. One, we saw the same thing happen in Minneapolis when it came to the George Floyd trial. Now, whatever way you think that trial should have went, that's irrelevant. What bothered me the most was watching politicians protest outside of the courthouse and outside of their private residences saying, if we don't get the result we want, we're going to riot and we're going to loot. You had, what was it, Maxine Waters out there protesting, and she's a congresswoman. Politics has no place when it comes to these court cases, and like, you can't be protesting at people's houses to try and get them to decide a certain way. When it comes to like intimidation, you can't intimidate somebody, right? A judge to make a specific decision. But here we have Jen Psaki, right? Okay, this lovely woman, basically saying we encourage it. We encourage it to happen. Let's encourage it. And I'll just play this for you because it speaks for itself. God, I can't stand this woman.
You guys spent some time yesterday talking about what you think are the extreme wings of the Republican Party. Do you think the progressive activists that are now planning protests outside some of the justices' houses are extreme?
Peaceful protest? No, peaceful protest is not extreme.
Some of these justices have young kids. Their neighbors are not all public figures. So would the president think about waving off activists that want to go into residential neighborhoods in Virginia and Maryland?
Peter, look, I think our view here is that peaceful protest, there's a long history in the United States and the country of that. And
I just want to be real quick. Again, it's illegal. It's illegal. All right, let's continue.
we certainly encourage people to keep it peaceful and not resort to any level of violence. Let me tell you what I was referring to and what the president was referring to yesterday.
Not about the yesterday, though, just about moving forward. These activists posted a map with the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices. Is that the kind of thing this president wants?
They're posting maps with the addresses of the judges and justices. Like that, to me, that's nuts. Like, to me, that should be illegal. That's doxing, right? To try and intimidate. And they do the same thing, again, in Minneapolis. They try to intimidate to get a certain election or a certain result, right? a certain verdict. And to me, that's just wrong. And if you can start doing stuff like that, you basically devalue all of our judicial system and our, I don't know.
To help your side make their
It seems
point.
really wrong.
Look, I think the president's view is that there's a lot of passion, a lot of fear, a lot of sadness from many, many people across this country about what they saw in that leaked document. We obviously want people's privacy to be respected. We want people to protest peacefully if they want to protest.
Again, she's upset about what came out in the leaked document. For one, that document should have never been leaked. The fact that it got leaked and nobody's held accountable for it is crazy. But, because these are ongoing court cases. These are very sensitive documents that aren't supposed to be getting out to the public. She is not sorry it was leaked. She's not sorry people are committing crimes at these judges and justices' houses. She's sorry about what the document said, that it might be overruled. And she thinks that people should go out and peacefully protest. Peacefully protesting is still illegal when it comes to doing it in front of a judges or jurors or anybody's house as it relates to a court
That
case.
is certainly what the president's view would be.
So he doesn't care if they're protesting outside the Supreme Court or outside someone's private residence.
I don't have an official U.S. government position on where people protest. We want it, of course, to be peaceful. And certainly the president would want people's privacy to be respected. But I think we shouldn't lose the point here. The reason people are protesting is because women across the country.
Okay, and this is where she goes on to her whole political opinions on what it means to overturn Roe v. Wade and yada yada. And that's besides the point. Again, you can think whatever you want about Roe v. Wade, and we can have a conversation about that at a later date. What I'm really bothered by is the fact that people are allowed to do this. And again, it's a crime, but it's not a serious crime. I think it's like a misdemeanor. And what is it? What was the punishment? Shall be fined. You can get a fine, and you can't be in jail for more than a year. So it's like a misdemeanor, basically. It's a small crime. It's illegal. People should be getting arrested for it. Especially because you have a right to peacefully protest, but you don't have the right to do it in a way that intimidates judges, jurors, people who are actively participating in, deliberating on a case or a court case, because you can't. Because then you have the mob again, right? Then you have literally people going in, breaking fingers, and intimidating the shit out of people in order to get certain things. That's what happens all over again if you start going down that rabbit hole, right? And so, yes, it's illegal, and you're doxing people's personal information to try and intimidate them to get a certain political outcome, which is absolutely crazy. And here's another little article that just talks about how federal statute bans picketing judges' residences with the intent of influencing the judge. There's been talk of protests outside Supreme Court justices' homes, but it appears likely that such protests are illegal, and under the code that I just showed you. So, again, all this is linked in the description if you want to check it out. I just think it's very sad that you have the press secretary for the president saying, yes, go out there and commit crimes. Even if you're committing them peacefully, you're still committing a crime, because the narrative is more important than the people. Because the people, they're just blindly following what this lady is saying. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? So I also want to talk about here. This is a little sneak peek as to what it looks like on the streets of these peaceful protests outside of the judges' homes. All right, let's take a look.
This is you don't get to take away our bodily autonomy and enjoy your Saturday night at home. You get to do one or the other.
And what does it mean to you to be marching to the justices' homes?
This is personal, so we're going to take it to the personal space.
Okay.
They did this, not us.
The Daily Signal news producer and podcast co-host Douglas Blair is following the protests there on the ground, and he joins us now. Good morning to you, Douglas.
Good morning, Ainsley. How are you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. Was that you asking the lady the questions, and what did you see at these protests?
I mean, what I saw outside of these justices' homes was nothing short of horrifying. It really tells you a lot that we've gotten to the point in this country where protesters feel they can go to somebody's private residence, scream and yell and try to intimidate them into voting the way that they want them to do. And for a cause like abortion, where on the pro-life side, we've acknowledged time and again that this is not just a clump of cells, it's not a parasite, as some of these protesters were saying, it is a human being, it is a human life.
Did you see a difference when you went to Kavanaugh's house and then went to John Roberts' house?
That was the scariest thing to me, that the energy, you could just feel it, was palpably different when Kavanaugh came up. They were yelling, they were screaming. And look, I mean, this is an attempt at intimidation. And I think it really says a lot, too, that the Biden administration is willing to absolutely let these justices out to dry. They're not going to say it's not acceptable for you to go to somebody's house and yell and scream. That's not how we do it in this country.
So that's kind of what we got back to with Jen Psaki is, and again, I'm not really getting into the whole abortion debate today. That's not my point with this. My point is you have people actively breaking the law, right, as far as protesting. You have the U.S. government, you have the U.S. president and his constituents promoting it, these illegal acts. And it's a federal court case that is going on. Like, that is what's mind-boggling to me. Like, this should not be allowed, period. Right? So you have a bunch of emotional people acting emotionally, and they're not using any logic, and you have people encouraging them. It just reminds me if somebody was like 5 years old and they're doing something they're not supposed to do, right? And then you just have their parents encouraging them to do it. Of course, they're going to keep doing it. And that's what I feel like a lot of these people are acting.
Did you say that you saw Kavanaugh? He came out of his house?
I did not see Justice Kavanaugh. My hope is that he wasn't home. My hope is that he was safe with his family somewhere else, because it was genuinely one of the scariest things I've ever witnessed, watching these people yell and scream and try and change the vote of what is most possibly the most important vote in the history of this country, the right to, live your life and to have a human being survive in the womb.
Look at this. They're drawing coat hangers on the streets. I mean, this just says that the
I don't get about this. Nobody uses wire coat hangers anymore, okay? So what this whole coat hanger nonsense is just a little bit outdated. All right, find a better symbol to attach yourself to. I haven't seen a wired coat hanger in fucking 15 years, all right? Have they found out who leaked the document? I'm not sure who leaked the document. I don't think they have. I saw a funny little quote, though. It did say, like, the right is upset that the document was leaked, and the left is upset about what the document said in the leak. So nobody is really happy about it, but let's see what else is on this.
Abortion would go back to states. States would decide. It doesn't say no more abortions. Right. We had Mark Levin on last week, and he said if you want to get an abortion, you still can. You might have to drive to another state, but you'll still be able to. And according to the New York Post this morning, it says it's illegal to protest at a justice's house if it's to try to influence the outcome. Do you know any more about that?
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's entirely right. And whether or not it's illegal is sort of irrelevant here. It's the morality of the thing.
I think
the
it's
fact that they've decided that it's now acceptable to intimidate a justice into getting what they want just shows how deranged and out of touch with the American people the radical left is. The fact that we can have this conversation between us and we can discuss, hey, maybe it's going to go back to the states, maybe not. That's acceptable. It's unacceptable to go to somebody's house to yell and to scream and to scare them into submission.
Douglas, what did the police say? Because we saw some images that looked like police were on the sidewalk.
I was confident for a moment that they were going to start arresting people. It seemed like the police had things under control. And I will tell you this, the fact that these radical protesters fled the scene the second that a massive police presence came on was so telling to me, because they're scared. They know that the American people are on the side of life. We are cultivating a culture of life in this country. And the fact that they knew that
All right, so that's pretty much the end of that. The fact that they fled, though, when the bunch of police started showing up is kind of telling. Like he said, it is kind of funny. But yeah, that's all crazy. It's starting to become on certain issues. Like, people can just think that they can do whatever they want, and a lot of times the government will just encourage it even if it's wrong, even if it's illegal, as long as it fits their narrative. And that's crazy. And we saw it with a lot of like the riots, with the Black Lives Matter riots, with the Antifa, and a lot of other things. It's the same kind of thing. A lot of just encouragement from certain politicians, even though it's illegal and it's clearly morally wrong. So I thought this was kind of funny. We'll watch this, and I think this will be it for Jen Stuckey. But this was, I think, a few days later when a reporter asked her about, does the president plan to condemn the the doxing of these justices, because there's now been violence. I guess there's been some violence that's happened at some of these peaceful protests in front of these justices' homes that are trying to make a decision on this very big case that's going on right now. This is what she had to say about it.
This is now that we've seen violence unfold.
Well, I would say that we have been clear, and the president's position has long been that we should not see protest that takes the form of violence, that takes the form of vandalism,
but it does.
And that threatens anyone. That has long been his position for his entire career and continues to be his position.
Does the president plan to
I just thought it was funny because it's like, reporter, does the president plan to condemn the League of the Supreme Court Justices' options or the doxing of the justices' homes now that we've seen violence unfold? Jen's like, nah. Nah, we ain't condemning anything. All right, that's Miss Suckey for you. Moving on to the next thing. What do we got here? Oh, so let's lighten up the mood a little bit. All right, let's look at a better political figure. I moved out of Florida, but man, this is going to be a future president one day, I tell you, folks. We got Ron DeSantis. All right, you love him or you love to hate him, but most people are loving this guy nowadays. This guy is a real G, man. Here's what he did. Here's what Ron DeSantis did. He established November 7th as Victims of Communism Day, right, to honor those who have suffered under communism and reminded people of the destruction communism has caused worldwide, including the death toll exceeding 100 million. Right? Communism has killed over 100 million people, okay, throughout time. That's a lot, right? That is a heck of a lot. So let's hear old Ronnie DeSantis basically flex on all these woke leftists and just piss them off with this here. Because they want communism in America, and they're never going to have it.
Today, I am signing HB 395, which will officially designate November 7th as Victims of Communism Day to honor the more than 100 million people who have fallen victim to communist regimes across the world.
Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. It just gets a smile on my face every time I hear him say it. I can just watch that on a loop. All right. So I just wanted to brighten up the mood a little bit here with some DeSantis. But I do think that he will run for president. I don't know if he's going to do it in 2024. Because the thing is, do you want to go against Trump if he runs again? That's the big thing. Either one are going to be, very good. But you have a lot of diehard Trumpers that are going to like DeSantis, but they're just going to vote Trump because they're like, heck yeah, Trump. You know what I mean? So, I think either way, people are going to like both, but I don't know. It'd be hard to beat Trump. And he's doing a really good job in Florida right now. People in Florida absolutely love him. He's doing a really good job in Florida. He's running things very well. So it'll be hard it'd be hard. I don't know if he's going to do it in 2024. I think he will definitely at some point because he's young, right? He's a lot of time to do it. He can do it in 2028. He doesn't have to do it in the next election, but I could definitely see him doing it soon. But yeah, he's a cool guy, cool governor. It was good to be in Florida with him in office. Everybody loved that guy. So all right, let's move on a little bit here. So on a not so nice note now, over in Australia, I had to include a little segment here on the Land Down Under, if you know what I mean, for all my Australian viewers. Okay. this I found quite interesting. So in Australia, in Sydney, we had a gentleman named Drew Pavlu. You guys might know him. I don't know. This is like a controversial figure over there. But this is like the first time seeing this was today. But we have Drew here who is holding up a sign saying "fuck Xi Jinping," okay, and he's campaigning in the seat for what is it, Bennelong in Sydney, whatever. It's anyways, long story short here, he was assaulted by a bunch of Chinese ultranationalists. Okay, so these Chinese ultranationalists walked up on him, very pissed off that he was holding a sign saying "fuck Xi Jinping." And we're gonna get into the whole what is freedom of speech. Do people actually have true freedom of speech, or is it just whatever you're allowed to say? And since it's you're okay with everything that you're allowed to say, therefore you think you have freedom of speech. So this guy was assaulted for holding a sign. Let's and I guess apparently he was called some like racist things. We're gonna watch some of it. A lot of this I've never heard before. I don't know if it's racist to like Australian people or what it is, but all right, let's watch this little bit here.
Motherfucker! I can say motherfucker. America has genocide. No fucking shooting. Free country, you motherfucker! Hey, son of a bitch! I don't mind. Hey, yeah, I don't mind. It's a free country, motherfucker! Yes, son of a bitch! What do you want? Yes.
He just kicked him. He just kicked him.
Look at
he just insulted that guy. Yeah, he just grabbed his cameraman. It was kind of off camera for a second. We'll go back to it. Right there. Yeah, he just started grabbing.
Fuck Xi Jinping. That's enough. Fuck Xi Jinping.
Why can't I say that? Xi Jinping. I can't say the name.
Cowards. My hands behind my back. I haven't touched a single person. Come hit me. I'm not a coward.
Motherfucker.
All right. So that was that little clip there. Again, I'm just looking at Drew's Twitter. It was kind of funny because today is the first time I was on Twitter in like the last 15 years. I don't know. I don't have a Twitter. But Twitter's kind of a crazy place. All right. So I started going through Drew's Twitter here, and I found that. And he has some more clips here in his, I guess these are, I don't know if these are like replies that he continued on. I'm sorry, I don't really know how Twitter works. But let's watch one of these clips because apparently one of these guys was saying, all right, so here's what he said. He says, please watch this footage. Chinese ultranationalists hurling racial slurs at our Taiwanese friends today while campaigning in Bennelong in Sydney. Okay, so this Drew guy is friends with some Taiwanese people, right? And I think after, this might make a little sense because I was watching some of his other videos, and one of his Taiwanese friend was standing up and protesting some people in Australia for giving money to China and supporting the Chinese Communist Party and not really recognizing Taiwan. But that's I guess for another day. This is what some of these ultranationalists were saying to his Taiwanese friend.
You better close it. Rotten banana. Rotten people. Rotten banana. You're rotten banana. You're rotten people. You're rotten banana. Rotten people. Not even saying. You better close it.
She just say you're not even human.
Rotten banana.
Call them a rotten banana. I don't know why that's like a racial slur or what that means with Taiwanese people, but yeah. Yeah, but only white people can be racist, right, guys? Right? I mean, so this just kind of goes. I think what Drew here is trying to point out is the influence China has on a lot of places, on a lot of people, and they're expanding kind of reach and they're expanding influence into things. Because here's what's even more crazy about this story. Drew here, you would think that, the police would have gotten involved and arrested, charged, or, at least done something about the people that assaulted him, that kicked him with a sign or grabbed his cameraman. Even if they were okay and everything was fine, those still are acts of assault. But what ended up happening was New South Wales said that they'd be charging him. I haven't seen too much of a follow-up, but I did see one of his tweets saying that they came out and charged Drew here, or were planning to charge him. So again, it's how do you have freedom of speech then if the speech you want to speak goes against the government's narrative or the people that line the pockets of the government, and then you're not allowed to say what you want to say. Got the kitty back here, yeah. So yeah, I just found this interesting. This happened here in Australia. And that's not all that's happened when it relates to freedom of speech in Australia. I found some other stuff here. This couple, Zoe, was arrested in her home for posting online about anti-lockdown protests. I remember seeing something about that. So the fact that the government can arrest you for posting things online, resisting or opposing lockdowns, is kind of crazy. This was on the BBC here, and again, all links in the description. And we also had Count Dankula. How many of you guys know about Count Dankula? This is the funniest story, but it's also one of the saddest. Not because they taught this dog how to do a Nazi salute. Like, yeah, I mean, you could say that's a little bit bad taste, right? Sure, fine. But the fact that they arrested this guy, or I guess he avoided prison, but he was fined over 800 euros for teaching his dog how to lift up his paw. It was a joke, right? Well, he didn't like his girlfriend's dog, so he taught it how to do a Nazi salute, which in itself is kind of freaking hilarious. Okay, if you're pulling a prank, you could say it's in bad taste, but it's kind of funny. And yeah, you don't really have freedom of speech when you can get charged 800 euros for something like that. And it's not like the girlfriend sued you. It's the federal government came in and said, no, you're not allowed to do that. But you still have free speech, right? Yeah, because we say you do, even though you really don't. And finally, police arrest convoy protesters in New Zealand's parliament. So in New Zealand, sorry guys, you don't have free speech either. Guess they arrested a bunch of protesters who were camped out on parliament's grounds as a convoy protest against coronavirus mandates. It seemed like freedom of speech died once the COVID initiative came about in many parts of the world. And yeah, so that's why when I talk about how, America has its flaws, but one of the main reasons I think it's the greatest is because we do have freedom of speech enshrined in our Constitution as a God-given right, protected. And it's supposed to be protected by the government. The government does not want us to have free speech. Let me be very clear. The government does not like the Constitution. It is the people's document. It is there. It is ours. And the government's job is to enforce that document. And so we are very fortunate and privileged to be able to say and express ourselves pretty much in whatever ways we want. And I do feel like it is under attack, though, and it is scary. It is dying in many parts of the world, and our Constitution is the only thing keeping it from dying here. And I do believe that the United States is pretty much the last bastion of free speech in the world, because we are the only country that has it protected in a Constitution, like the one we have. So it is kind of sad in today's day, but let's end up on a very bright note, because again, I found Twitter for the first time today. So on a bright note here, I found Elon Musk, his Twitter. And when it comes to bastions of freedom of speech, if there's one person protecting it and giving us some goddamn hope, I tell you, it's this man. Because he bought Twitter, right? We all heard about that. The whole world heard about Elon Musk buying Twitter, and the left freaked out about a guy buying Twitter. The guy that they all want us to buy his cars because we're supposed to be green and energy efficient and not use coal and gas, and we need to be use electric cars, and Elon's really the only one pioneering electric cars. But now he's bad because he bought Twitter. Okay, so anyways, I found Elon Musk's Twitter for the first time, and I don't know how many of you follow Elon Musk's Twitter, but it is absolutely freaking hilarious. I love it. Let's start out with a good one here that I found, and we'll work our way up to more recent. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated, said Mr. Musk. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg. Twitter has a tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. There you go. That sounds great. All right. And I'm sorry if you don't think that sounds good. It's because you got some like emotional political tie that just can't allow you to see past what he's trying to do. I mean, that's what we want. We want clarity, right? We want to be able to have open and free discussions, not have certain people being throttled and certain people being like. Remember especially like on, again, this isn't YouTube, this is Twitter, but it reminded me like with YouTube how the trending page used to be actually shit that was trending, not stuff that YouTube wanted to be trending. So I think this is awesome. But then I did see some funny things. Well, he keeps going on about free speech. There's a lot of posts about free speech since he bought Twitter, which is kind of cool. The extreme antibody reaction from those who fear free speech says it all. By free speech, I simply mean that which matches the law. So he's not talking about anything beyond the law. He's saying, let's just have free speech that falls in line with what we have in our day-to-day conversation, right? So if I want to go out and say, whatever I want to say, as long as it's not a call to action, I can say it, and people are free to judge me how they will, like a normal free speech in the United States. Okay. So he's all up in arms, talking about let's go free speech, which I think is awesome. He did say he's going to buy Coca-Cola next and put the Coke back in it, which I thought was really funny. This is great. So for anybody who has not seen the Joe Rogan podcast, I think this happened a few years ago with Tim Pool, and I forget what her name is. She was like the Twitter lady. I forget what her role was in Twitter, but she was with Jack Dorsey at the time when they were talking about Twitter and all these things. And basically Tim Pool is trying to make the point that Twitter has a left-wing bias, and it's pretty obvious. So just like, here's an example of Twitter's left-wing bias, as Tim Pool. We have to take to context into consideration, Tim. Twitter's interpretation of the context is affected by their left-wing bias. I would need to see an example of that. It's just a repeating circle, and that's basically what happened on the Joe Rogan podcast. And Elon Musk is basically stepping in now. Let's make Twitter maximum fun. I like it. Real magic is only a sip away. See, I think Elon might be on that Coke back in the Coke bit, because he has 2 posts now about Coca-Cola getting Coke back in it. The far left hates everyone, including themselves. See, Elon is no fan of the far left, and I think that's why they hate him. They hate him out of spite. They don't hate him for anything that he's actually doing. They just hate him because they don't like the far left has a very razor line edge that you have to fit in order to be on their side, and if you stray away from it, you're your enemy number one, and that's why they often attack each other, and that's why they're attacking Elon Musk, because they'll love him one day and hate him the next, just for no reason. But yeah, I think Elon Musk's Twitter is pretty awesome. I might actually just have to get a Twitter now just to follow him, because he just had chocolate milk. It's insanely good. Like, what is going on with this guy? Anyways, that is it for today's show. I'm just gonna chit chat with you guys for the rest of the time. Get back to a main camera here. But yeah, so I just came up with I figured I'd find some topics that I've kind of came across over the last day or so, and give my 2 cents along the way, and then we can do some chit chatting about stuff, and I want to get your opinions on it. Let's go through the chat, because I haven't really been reading much of the chat as I do this, just because I'm going to take clips of this for videos later. But yeah, so let's go back to the beginning. Stealing a gun, very bad idea. I think stocks are plummeting as well. I haven't checked the stock market too much, but I did hear that it was plummeting. Basically, here's what I would always tell people. I'm like, Look, if you look at the S&P 500 over the course of the last, well, I don't know, like 50, 60, you name it, right? Any long period of time, it's always gone up. It's had its ups and downs, but it's always gone up. As long as you're not planning to have to cash your stock out like in the next week or month or year or whatever it is, then don't worry about it, right? Just hold on to it, put your panic in, and you should be fine. That's my 2 cents. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but that's my approach to it. The government wants to take control of the crypto and digital currency. Yes, they have to, otherwise they don't have power over it, and they need that power. Vanessa, I do suggest you watch some of the Amber Heard Depp trial. It is pretty interesting. It's kind of funny too, at certain bits. She has been on the stand for like a week now, and her lawyer has just been basically getting her to tell a long, convoluted story. So I'm really excited to see the cross-examination. I expect it to be short and sweet. Let's see here. She's acting not very well. Yeah, the fake expression she's consistently has in her. Yeah, I know she's weird because she'll be like fake crying, and then like 2 seconds later she's like super serious, and it's like it's all kind of a show. And nobody's buying it. Yeah. Hey, not a fan of the NBA either, Braun. Well, I'm glad I found somebody because most people like love the NBA, and I'm like, dude, they're a terrible organization if you ask me. Regardless if you like basketball or not. And I don't hate basketball because of the NBA. I just don't really. I don't even hate basketball. I just don't watch it really. When it comes to the abortion thing, Dakota's like it should be legal, but there should be rules, and that's fine. And I just think the rules should be left up to the state, and that's what overturning Roe versus Wade says. The rules would be up to the state, not the federal government, because the federal government could come in and all of a sudden do something that the far left doesn't like or that the right doesn't like. My point is the states should get to decide, and then there's always going to be a place for you to go wherever you agree with. And I think a lot of people who see that this being overturned, even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that this is Roe versus Wade is a bad legal decision. It's a bad legal precedent. But what bothers me is the White House and the media portraying it to be like they're taking away human rights and just lying, just straight up lying about shit, which is just ridiculous. To try and get a verdict a certain way. You assume that the U.S. has an equivalent of breach of privacy, which is punishable by law. I don't know. I mean, there is breach of privacy stuff. But there's also the when it comes to abortion, I guess if you look at it like from that sense, you also don't have there's no right protecting you from privately murdering somebody. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Yeah, I guess we get down to that argument. And again, I'm not trying to make the abortion argument. I'm simply making the argument about what Roe versus Wade is. It really doesn't have anything to do with actual abortion. It has to do with who decides what the rules are on it. And I think it makes more sense for the states to get to decide it because the federal government shouldn't have nothing to do with it, really. There's nothing in the Constitution, which, again, the federal government's job is basically to protect your constitutional rights. That should be the federal government's only job. And there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion. So, but either way, have they found out who leaked the document? No, DeSantis 2024. I saw that. Yes, we do have a kitty. I think she's sleeping. Indy's back there. It's her bed. She's tired. Free speech is dying. It is sad. Free speech died a long time ago, Vanessa says. I don't mean to, and when I say Australia doesn't have free speech like America, I say that I do mean it, but I don't mean it to be mean or in a bad way. We're very lucky in the United States to have a constitution. I think a lot of people take that for granted, especially a lot of people on the left, and what that actually means and what can happen when you don't have those certain protections, and it's just up to the government to decide those things. And that's not saying any place is necessarily bad. I mean, there are bad places, but I'm just very fortunate, and I feel grateful to have those protections, even if they are constantly under attack right now. What do we got here, Bond? The CEO of the AFL, Gillan McLaughlin, how do you say his name? Announced his retirement at the end of the season a few weeks ago. Okay. What is that going to mean for the AFL? Are they going to start having games in the United States? Yeah, and Elon's definitely doing some billionaire trolling, that's for sure. Thoughts on YouTube playing in a war zone, bro? Ukraine war is confusing. Angelina Jolie, Boris Johnson, Jill Biden, U2, all in Ukraine, Kiev. I think the Ukraine thing for a lot of American politicians and celebrities is just a way to they're jumping on the band. They're trying to whatever's trendy and whatever makes them look good, literally. Because these are the same people who are were anti-war, these are the same people who would be 100% against and say it's racist to go to our border and fight the cartels in the Mexican border, because there are literally very bad people with guns and all this stuff blowing up trucks and cartels that the U.S. could go in and take out. But these same people would be calling that racist. But then we can go halfway across the world and fight in a war that has nothing to do with us, absolutely zero to do with us. These aren't NATO countries, right? They're not. It has nothing to do with the United States. So it's just a way for people to look good, because it's all based off of emotion. We feel bad. We feel bad for what's happening to people in Ukraine. Therefore, we need to do all these irrational things. That's how I see it. And I'm not saying it's a good thing either way or what's going on in Ukraine, but it's irrelevant. I'm just saying it's a lot of virtue signaling. That's what it is. It's just virtue signaling. So a lot of people do that virtue signaling shit. Famous people and politicians do that. You thought I saw the article you posted in Discord? Oh, what article was it? And where did you post it again? I had too many channels in my Discord. I gotta consolidate some. Eurovision banned Russia from the competition. Yeah, I think the Ukraine crap is a little overblown. Like I think there's so much virtue signaling going on. Because, I'm just going to say it. Ukraine's not a good place. There's a lot of corruption there, too. It's not like this bastion of, this beacon of democracy and freedom, and it's a beautiful place where everybody gets along. It's no, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of racist people in there. And I'm just saying there's a lot of things that the left or the people will say they hate, they despise these people, yada, yada, yada. But there's a lot of that going on in Ukraine. Now, that's not me saying that it's okay for Russia to be doing what it's doing to Ukraine, but it's a lot more complicated than people make it out to be. Right? This has been building up for the last 8 years. A lot of it has to do with the United States, and it's built up a lot of tension between Ukraine and Russia, and that tension finally boiled over, and Russia decided it's going to step in. Now, that whether you think that's a good or bad thing, to me is irrelevant, because I just don't think the U.S. should have anything to do with it. I think all the virtue signaling by people is kind of silly and kind of stupid, because nowhere before this did anybody care about Ukraine or Russia. We have bigger problems going on right now on our own borders of people who are being killed by cartels and other things, but nobody cares about that. People just care about what's happening halfway on the other side of the world because they think it makes them look good. That's my 2 cents on the whole Ukraine thing. I mean, right now there's thousands and thousands of slaves in Africa today, right? There's the slave trade going on in China, right? There's people, being killed for being homosexual, right, in certain countries that the NBA is stepping into. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world. So, I don't know. The whole Ukraine thing is just kind of weird to me. That's what people are grasping onto as like, I don't know. Oh, you posted about the AFL CEO retiring? Oh, you saw somebody posting about it. No, I didn't see that actually. Duke says the sanctions are hurting Europe, especially Germany. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, pretty sure Germany didn't they like try to go fully energy like green, and now that's like not working out very well for them. What bothers me too is like the United States. Like again, we're lucky. We're not Europe. Like we have all of our own oil here. We can be completely energy independent. We have enough oil. We're just choosing not to go explore those new oil opportunities, and that's why our gas is like doubled in price. That's the beautiful thing about America too, is if we want to, we can be very independent and we don't need to be reliant on all these other countries. The problem is most Democrats, when they get into office, they want to be reliant on these other countries because it builds these really strong partnerships where they rely on each other. So we'll buy your gas or we'll buy your oil, even though we don't need to buy your oil, because then you're going to buy this, or you're going to fight in this war for, or you're going to do this for us, or you're going to do that for us. And that's one reason I did like Trump a lot more, was because he was like, no, America first. I don't care what you can do for me. I know what I can do for myself. We're going to put ourselves first. We're going to be energy independent. We're going to start making our own shit again. If you want what we got, you can buy it from us. End of story. That's kind of like the vibe I got. Whereas now it's more like, oh, we need to depend on everybody else. Whenever another country has a problem, it's going to impact us. To me, that's a big turnoff because we're not the EU, right? We're not Europe. We're the United States, and we have the capabilities to be independent, and we should be, in my opinion. Shouldn't be beholden, relying on other people. So it's my 2 cents on the matter, but international politics is an interesting one. The thing is, though, I think this whole Ukraine thing was part of Sleepy Joe's plan for like many, many years now. But he's getting so like old and senile to the point where he doesn't know how to follow through with the end part of it all. So he doesn't know what to do right now. He's like, I don't remember. I came up with this stuff like 20 years ago, and Obama, said he helped me, and I don't remember where my pickles are. Something like, he just doesn't know what he does. Vanessa, you hate politics? See, honestly, I love politics. Like I like politics. Politics can get me fired up, but I think politics can be important. I think they can be fun. I think because like probably like 10 years ago, I'd say I used to get more like emotionally invested in stuff. Like things would bother me personally more, and like I'd take things and get defensive about them. But like now, it's politics are easier if you can kind of step away from that aspect and try to just look at things more rationally and logically. And I think that's the exact opposite of how a lot of like far left people look at things. It's all emotionally. But I don't know, I enjoy politics. You gotta manage it, because I think too much can be unhealthy sometimes. Biden has dementia for real, yeah, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Let's put on some tunage for you guys. But yeah, it's good to have you guys back. What do you guys think of this style of live stream? I know only a few of you tuned in, which is fine. I'm really thankful that I got to hang out with you guys. But yeah, what do you guys think of that kind of style? Because I enjoy doing streams more, I think, than like sitting down and trying to record a video. And I can get more in the zone when I do like live streams, but I want to like maybe do live streams and then take segments from the live streams and turn those into videos. So it was my first one. I was just kind of trying to like randomly find topics that I was like hearing about over the past couple of days from other people talk about, and thought I'd give my 2 cents on. So hopefully they get more structured and gets a little bit better and things like that. But because I don't know, I don't know how much more of just like AFL content I'm going to be doing, because if I'm being honest, I don't want to be like I don't know if my YouTube channel, like even for me personally, if it's beneficial just to make it all about the AFL, because it's really hard for me to keep up with it. I do want to do more AFL stuff, but it's just really hard for me to keep up with it given the time difference and watching the games and stuff like that. And I want my channel to be more about like my takes on stuff, me talking about things with the community on current events and stuff going on in the world, and more of a, and kind of branch out the audience as well. So that's kind of where I've been like struggling to find out, like I don't know what content to do stuff on, because the more reaction videos I do, the harder it gets to do videos and stuff on it without getting copyrighted, and it seems like everything I do now gets stricken down. So I don't just know if I'm on like the algorithms list or whatever, but could always do an AFL channel. Yeah, I could. I should. You know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea. Like just a separate AFL channel. Because yeah, I'm not going to give up on the tipping comp, and yes, I do like the NFL. Again, tipping comp. Whoever wins at the end of the year, $100 gift card. I'm still honoring that. I'm not giving up on that. But yeah, I mean, I do like talking about sports stuff and everything else. I do like the NHL for sure. Yep, NHL is probably my favorite. A little frustrating right now as a Wild fan, but we'll get through it. Yeah, so I've been kind of conflicted because I want my channel to be like bigger than just the AFL, right? I think it's very limited if I just stick with the AFL, or even, I don't know. And I'm not like a very like super sports guy, like sports. I like sports a lot, but I'm not like crazy. I don't know like everybody's name and stats, and I don't have that kind of brain to do that. So I like talking about topics. I like discussing things. I like debating things. I like breaking things down and looking at things and trying to, rationalize things and have conversations with people. Those are things I like to do. So I'm going to try and get into more of that. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But would I ever consider doing an NHL watch along stream? Of course. Yeah, I love watching the NHL, so I would totally do that. It's just a matter of like I can't show the game, obviously. It'd have to be the same kind of style as the AFL stuff. But maybe that'd be like the better channel is come up with like a sports channel just for like all things sports, like the watch along streams, the AFL, and just like everything else, and then another channel for other things. Because I'm kind of one of these weird people where like I don't know if there's like a medical term for it, but like I have scatterbrain, dude. Like I do way too much stuff. Like see, I have like fishing videos, like I play disc golf all the time. I haven't done any disc golf videos. I'm probably gonna do some regular golf soon. I don't know. I do a lot of different weird things that I think it'd be fun to do like videos on, but it doesn't ever like, none of it fits together to make a YouTube channel out of it. So I'm like, maybe I should just start doing whatever I want, like talking about things and just making it the channel about me, not necessarily any particular category. I don't know. That's actually been the hardest thing for me the last year, is trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my channel. Golden Leaves? What? Golden Leaves. Did they win their game 5? I didn't see. The Wild lost in game 5. They're down 3-2 in the series. But I know the Leaves, it was tied, right? 2-2. You see the Avalanche swept the frickin' Preds, dude. Oh my gosh, the Avalanche. Even if we get out of this round, the Avalanche are going to kick our ass. Disc golf is going good. Courses aren't as nice out here in the area of Texas I am, because I'm kind of like in the suburbs more. But there's a few courses, and yeah, it's going good. I gotta watch out for snakes now, because there's like copperheads, like venomous snakes now. Leaves are up 3-2. All right, they won game 5. Nice. When's the last time a Canadian team's won the Stanley Cup? I think it's been a while. But yeah, you said you enjoyed the show. Thanks, Duke. I'm sure you were talking about the Leaves game, but whatever. Feeling more like Australia? Yeah. Yeah, dude, I got spiders. There's so many goddamn spiders here. At least where I am, like I'm on a lake, I'm not like in the middle of the lake, but like, you know, I'm on the I'm on the lake. And so I think that's why there's like more bugs, but there's some like weird bugs and there's a lot of spiders around me. I don't like spiders, but I'm dealing with it. And apparently there's venomous snakes. I think there's some alligators, but not really that many. Alligators don't really bother me. But yeah, it's humid as fuck. Hot. It's like in the 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the humidity. I don't know. I'm guessing that's what's the humid part of Australia? It's probably like Darwin. It's like Darwin. I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of like Minnesota here. It's just in the summer. Like the spring in Texas is kind of like Minnesota's July. But other than that, freaking hot. Hotter here than it was in Florida. Darwin, Brisbane, Perth. Yeah. I don't know. Texas is cool though. A lot of gun stores. A lot of the roads are getting interesting because the stoplights are turned sideways. So I may have ran one red light since I've been here on accident. Cannot confirm or deny that. But no, it's been cool. It's been a good time here. What happened to my music? Anyone of you been to Texas? Anybody? No? Anybody been to Texas? Funny story. So, like the first week I was here, I went down to the marina, which is right next to me, where they launch the boats into the water. Because I'm on there's like a big lake. And there's this lady fishing. So I started chatting with her. And I'm like, yeah, I just moved here, yada yada. She's like, oh yeah, she's been in Texas like her whole life or whatever. She just moved to this part of Texas though, like a few years ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, is there any good rodeos? And she's like, yeah, I've never been to a rodeo. I felt like the biggest idiot. I'm like, I thought everybody in Texas goes to rodeos. And I asked this lady where a good rodeo is, and she's like, I don't go to rodeos. And I'm like, oh, because she sounded like she goes to rodeos. I don't know. So I felt like stupid. And but apparently there's some, I guess. So maybe I'll have to check out a rodeo. Everything's big in Texas. Yeah. Including the women, Duke. Oh man, I've lived in 3 states now. Definitely the biggest. This is Texas is home of the BBW. Just saying. Like a medium soda in Texas is like a supersized, okay? Like it's giant, okay? And I'm like, no wonder everybody's big down here. Like, it's not just the women. It's like a lot of people are big down here. So big freaking beefcakes, all right? I'm like cattle-bred people. But everybody's been pretty cool. Everybody's been pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of weird, the contrast of going from like the Clearwater Beach area, Tampa area, to here, and the people difference. Because it's like I'm not inside. Like if I was in like inside of like Houston or Dallas or Austin, like I'm sure people would look more like where I've normally seen. But since I'm like out a little ways in Texas, like, yeah, people are all looking a little bigger. Yeah, Rogan's in Texas. Yeah, he's up by Austin, though. Austin's like the super liberal part of Texas. It's also the capital. I'm pretty sure it's the capital. Bonnie never left Australia. Tasmania is the only place you've been overseas. I guess that's kind of over. It's not really overseas, I guess. Like, I don't consider going to Hawaii overseas. I mean, Tasmania is not part of Australia, though, so I guess, I don't know. I guess you got me there. Yeah, Joe Rogan is in Texas. You know why Mason Cox is so tall? Oh yeah, is he from Texas? Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yep. But yeah, I got Whataburger. I had Whataburger. All right, first time ever having Whataburger. Just down here now. Is the capital Houston? I don't know. I'm not a real true Texan yet. But yeah, Whataburger's fire. Here, I'm gonna look it up. You guys aren't helping me out here. You're supposed to look that up for me. Oh, it's Austin. Austin's the capital. Yeah. I was right. Vanessa got me thinking I'm wrong. Yeah, I like the Joe Rogan podcast for sure. You know, I will say, and this is just me, my personal opinion. I'm a little bummed he went to Spotify. Like, I think it's good for him. Like, as a business decision, like if I was him, like I'd make the same decision. Like, good move for him. But as like a listener, I miss the podcast being on YouTube. I miss being able to like, and I still can watch it on Spotify now, which I do. But I'm such a YouTube kind of person where I'm always on YouTube that I miss just watching it on YouTube. I don't know. I watch it on Spotify now sometimes, but I feel like, and he's smart because part of the deal with Spotify, a contingency he had, was that he would still be allowed to put up the clips, like his JRE clips, onto YouTube, because like part of the deal is like he can't upload to YouTube anymore because they want all of the rights to the podcast. But he made it in the deal that he can still upload the clips because I tell you, like, he has such a higher audience, like so many more people on YouTube than he does on Spotify. But the deal they gave him is really good. So Tim Dillon is in Texas. Yeah, a lot of people are in Texas now. Like all of those. What? Oh my God! Like Kill Tony. You guys ever watch Kill Tony? Those guys are all up in Austin. There's a lot of comedy up in Austin. Like a lot of the big comedians are up in Austin, Texas area. It would be cool to kind of go out and see some comics. Like go check out some of those. You know, like where like Joe Rogan's friends with them, and then you might get a surprise visit, or even a surprise visit from whoever. I think isn't Dave Chappelle out in Texas too, or is he somewhere else? I know he was somewhere remote. I forget where Dave Chappelle was, but he was like in the middle of nowhere. Oh, that was another thing. I was going to include that in today's show. Was Dave Chappelle getting attacked? We'll have to do that on the next one. All right, guys. Well, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be getting off. Thank you so much for watching. All the people who tuned in today. It was fun. It was a good time. Really glad I got to hang out with you guys. I'm going to see how long it takes. I'm going to try and get some of these videos chopped up, uploaded to YouTube. See how long it takes, and so I can kind of get an idea on how many of these like live shows I can do a week, and how many videos they produce. And if I have time tonight, I might be going back onto Twitch. I was on Twitch earlier today streaming, so if any of you guys haven't followed my Twitch, follow my Twitch and catch me streaming over there. I do all my games on there, like play Overwatch and other whatever stuff, you know. So follow the Twitch. I might be going live on there. I post when I go live in the Discord, so keep an eye out there as well. But yeah, it was an awesome time. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. Cheers. Peace, love. We'll catch you later.